I got my captain's license while I was still in high school, and now I make a living doing what I love. And now I'm going to show you the exact roadmap I followed to get here. So where do you start? This is what I wish someone would have showed me when I was first starting out, because since I've gone through the process, I can tell you that this is what it actually takes to get your captain's license. Time, effort, and sacrifice. So everyone seems to think that getting your captain's license is the end of the road, but really it's just the bare minimum required to even start. So this isn't going to be your typical captain's license video about seat time and how much you should study, because there's plenty of those videos that already exist. What I'm talking about is what it takes to actually become a captain. So in a way, I'm giving advice to my younger self. Before we start, if you like this in-depth stuff and want to fast track your own charter business, you can check out skool.com/captains. The link is in the description. All right, so time. Don't be in a hurry. This is something I would go back and tell myself, is don't be in a hurry, because you actually have more time than you think. Whether it's in the short term or in the long term, you just have to carve out the time, and whether it's for studying or growing the business later on, just carve out the time. You have the time, even if you have a job, because I did. There's really no excuses when it comes to time. Now, this is probably one of my biggest mistakes. Waiting does not mean do nothing. So meanwhile, while I was waiting for my license to come in the mail and the approval process and all of that, I was doing nothing when I could have been building out my website or doing other things that would have set me up so that I was actually ready to start when the license came. But I didn't do that, so it set me a few months behind. Now, effort. Obviously, the amount of work that you're going to need to do depends on your goals. So when I was first starting, I wanted to make 5K a month, which surprisingly was not that hard, because when you're making $125 an hour, it only takes about 10 hours a week to get there. So really it boils down to your operating system. And this was something that took me about a year to figure out, but you need to know your avatar, you need to know your sales process, you need to know your follow-up process, and you need to know your delivery process when you actually take them out on the boat. Now, at first, my avatar was anyone with a heartbeat and a credit card, basically, or not even really a credit card, because I didn't have a website at the time. So a credit card and a fistful of cash was all you needed to go fishing with me at the beginning. But now I've gotten a little pickier about my avatars, and you want to take the right people fishing. After a while, you'll figure out your ideal sales process, the follow-up process that works, and then just what to do on the trip to keep people entertained and stuff. So the whole goal with your operating system is to constantly refine and increase your hourly wage. Now, this doesn't mean raising your prices, but it means making more money in less time by becoming more efficient. So just remember, if you're actually in it to make money, you want to fill your pockets, not your calendar. And when I first started, I was like, oh, I want to be out on the water every day because that's so cool. And after a while, you just realize that if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, being out on the water every day actually doesn't serve you if you're trying to be the most profitable. So, sacrifice. This is arguably another huge one, because you have to understand and accept the path you pick. And when I was starting, I didn't, because there's the slow path and there's the fast path. And let me draw it out for you, but forgive my drawing skills. So here's our chart. The bottom's going to be time, and the top's going to be revenue. So this is going to be the slow path, and it's the path that most people take, which is fine, but when you're starting out, nobody really knows about you. So you're down here, time goes on, you start taking some people fishing, your revenue starts to grow, and more people start to talk about you, more people start to like you, and then after 3 or 5 years, you're doing good. Now the fast path, which I didn't start out doing, but I jumped on this after a little while, looks a little more like this. You just start out of the gates flying. It goes like straight up, because everybody knows about you when you start doing a bunch of advertising. But the thing is if you're not actually good at fulfilling, you're going to plateau after a while, because people go out fishing with you and they're like, wow, this guy sucks, and they don't tell anybody about you. But where the real magic happens is if you're pouring gas on the fire and people actually like you, your advertising is going to compound that much faster, and it's just going to like shoot you up to the moon. So I'm not saying that one's better than the other. You just have to identify which one is right for you, because the whole thing I'm trying to explain here is if you look at the end, after the 3 to 5 years, no matter what the whole beginning looked like, anyone can succeed on a long enough time horizon.